Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube series, and today we're gonna be talking about the recent hostilities between Pakistan and India. This is on current affair, Pak Fair in international relations for your CSS or civil services exam preparation. So we're gonna be looking at it from that point of view. We're gonna be discussing multiple things in a very short and brief video, right? So let's start. I don't want to get into the specifics of what happened because everyone knows the series of events. I'm gonna be focusing more on the analysis part because that is where most students would feel that they lack and that they need a help in all of the analysis part. So this is where we're going to be focusing on mostly because everyone knows that what happened throughout these sequence of events. So first things first is that if we start off with India really considers itself now as a global power, right? And it considers itself, you can say, as an equal to China, which is again debatable, but that's where they think and position themselves. And even a minor setback such as the incident in Kashmir is a major setback for them, is because they want to convince all of the world that they are very safe and they're not like Pakistan. They want to project to the world that, right? So they keep telling on the world that Pakistan is a terrorist state and everything. And this incident was a huge setback because their cricket league was happening, because they're inviting investors from all over the world, which is why we saw such a sharp response from them. And their immediate response was to blame Pakistan, which is normal between these two countries. But something we've seen is that the escalation ladder really did change this time, is that India is not the same power, the political power that was at India. These guys with a nationalist approach, populist approach, they are really willing to up the stakes against Pakistan. And we've seen that their strategy was focused on soft and hard power both, because a revocation of the Indus Water Treaty that has survived decades of war, turmoil, everything, the revocation of that proves that they are willing to go to any lengths, right, to, you can say, punish Pakistan or to tell Pakistan that they hold all the cards. So that's the first thing that we can draw out of this analysis, that India is now not willing to negotiate. It's not willing to come into a dialogue with Pakistan. It's very much in the territory of coercive measures, revocation of the Indus Water Treaty, which was, you can say, a soft punishment to Pakistan, a soft power approach, but also the hard power approach, that the drone attacks, the technological warfare, the disinformation, and the traditional missiles. They were using basically an all-out approach against Pakistan. And the second thing is that from India's perspective, their disinformation campaign really was on view, because they blocked multiple Pakistani celebrities, journalists, people who hold an opinion in India, so that their population cannot be apprised about what is happening inside Pakistan or what the actual facts are. There was a lot of misreporting in the Indian media that Pakistan, for example, the Karachi port has been destroyed and everything. So this goes on with their campaign of disinformation against Pakistan, which they, it is on record that they've started this since 2019 actually. The European disinformation campaign actually came out in 2019, but this is gone on way far beyond that as well, that now their own media is reporting that some cities are destroyed and everything. So the disinformation campaign was really on point as well. And all of this is just from an India perspective. So now if we shift the lens to Pakistan, right? So Pakistan did try to solve the situation diplomatically or through dialogue by telling India that they should present them with evidences that Pakistan conducted the Kashmir attack, which obviously never came. And because in this case they were accusing Pakistan, we were on the defensive, because if we were to immediately respond, it would be an act of guilt, an act of submission that it was actually us, which is why we were on the defensive. And they attacked Pakistan's religious sites as well. There was civilian casualties, and then there were drone attacks. So Pakistan's response was in a defensive manner. It was not on the offensive. But what really changed the stake was that the downing of their 3 Rafales from the Chinese planes, the JF-17 Thunders, and the other planes, was a game changer in the sense that not only did it disrupt this view that the Rafales are very, aggressive planes and that they're the best in the business. But it re-established Pakistan's deterrence as a traditional security state, right? So this is important in IR, especially in current affairs, is that the nuclear power that Pakistan possesses, it was made so that we can deter India from ever invading Pakistan, right? That was the main purpose. And it was usually accepted that the traditional security apparatus of Pakistan was not, comprehensible to India's. Even numbers-wise, that was very visible. But when it came to these, aerial attacks and when it came to one-on-one fights, again, Pakistan did cause a lot of casualties to India, and that had repercussions for all over the world, which we will come back to later on, that the Rafale stocks went down and that the Chinese stocks of these JF-17 Thunders, their parent companies, that actually went up. So Pakistan did re-establish its traditional military strength, which was a huge win for the country. After the drone attacks by India, when Pakistan launched missiles into India, as CNN reported, India was hugely shocked by the manner of these responses and actually asked the US government to intervene and cause a ceasefire. So the Pakistani response, well, actually, India was not expecting it. So in their mind, they were thinking like Pakistan was going to sit down, go into defensive and then ask for a ceasefire. Instead, Pakistan acted aggressively after those drone attacks, which tells us that the military apparatus was not afraid to back down from India in a traditional fight. And it actually re-established itself as a traditional military force, right? Not just a nuclear force, but a traditional force in which you can say there are missiles and fighting through the army and through the navy or the airspace. So Pakistan did re-establish itself. On the larger horizon, right, this is the third perspective, right? We've looked at India's perspective, Pakistan's response, but when we look at the whole world, it was a huge setback for the West as well and a huge win for China. And I'll explain how. So obviously Pakistan did China a huge favor because it displayed the powerfulness of these planes. And usually what is an accepted notion in the West is that these Rafales or the American planes are very superior to Chinese-made technology, Chinese-made warfare, airfare, everything. But that was not the case, as we saw that the Chinese planes actually downed the Rafales and it caused their stocks to go up. It caused the stocks of the parent company of Rafales to go down. So when the West intervened to cause this ceasefire, it was not just because it could cause a nuclear war. It was also because their apparatus, their weaponry was in danger of losing further stock, right? So, air exchange that took place between these two countries. This is because they want to know that which planes would they be interested in buying or which country's arsenal would they be more interested in. Because again, like I said, traditionally it was accepted that the American or the Western, you can say a technology when it comes to warfare was advanced as compared to China, but these exchanges have thrown this up in the air, and Pakistan has done China a huge favor because without doing anything, China has established that its arsenal is actually as powerful or as comparable to the Western ones. And in my opinion, that is again debatable because I think the pilots that were manning these JF-17 Thunders were actually capable of turning them into huge assets, because if you put them on paper, the Rafale versus the JF-17 Thunder 1-to-1, maybe again the Rafale has better statistics on the paper, but on that particular day, the way these pilots were handling these planes, they have not just done a favor to Pakistan but also to China. And then the West, obviously Donald Trump intervening was hugely in part because it was causing a huge damage to people's interest in the warfare technologies of the West, including France and America. And these countries rely on these, not nuclear, but these, warfare technology to boost their economy. As we've seen that the United States has recently done a huge arms deal with Saudi Arabia, and that all of these deals really do fuel their economy. And if any kind of setbacks do happen, it actually threatens, their supremacy, their technological supremacy. So that's the reason why they wanted to intervene. So that's the third perspective. Now, overall, if you do a critical analysis of all the situation, you can come to the conclusion that Pakistan and India are in many ways are at their lowest point when it comes to an exchange, because they've expelled their representatives. The airspace is still closed, right? They don't want to engage in dialogue. A lot of it is because of India's refusal to sit down, or their insistence that Pakistan is a terrorist state without having any credible, you can say, proof on these things. India under the Modi government is not willing to negotiate, not on Kashmir or even on the Indus Water Treaty or anything else, right? So with regards to the Indus Water Treaty, that is the only thing that Pakistan finds itself on the back foot, because India is dictating how much water will be coming into Pakistan. So the ball is in Pakistan's court, and they will have to initiate something to fix the situation, because again, like I said, that India has already done what it wanted to do with regards to just saying that the treaty does not exist anymore. But now it's up to Pakistan to how they fix this situation, how they get India to the negotiating table. So I think that is the only setback that Pakistan can see from this whole situation. In an overall setback for India, like I said, that usually they want to tell the world that they're a very superior power, that they're safe, and that notion has again been challenged. But not just that, they want to boast, they're very proud of the fact that they're superior to Pakistan. And Pakistan's response has again thrown this up in the air, because I was reading it on a lot of pages. Maybe you might have seen that a small power Pakistan, or a small power country, actually delivered a huge response to Pakistan. That's a damage to India's reputation, that even if the world is saying that Pakistan is a small power and it reacted in a certain way and everything, so it has caused a damage to the reputation of India. Their new norm is actually escalation, a lot of escalation, that we will stop the treaty, we will throw missiles, we will throw drones, right? But they've seen that this is again does not work, because Pakistan can do all these same things, maybe even in a better way, in a better coordinated way. So again, they go back to the drawing board, and they're now going to have to see that what their next response will be with regards to all this situation. When it comes to Pakistan, again, it has done itself, I think, proud, because it defended itself, but also actually helped China and China's technological warfare, actually help it boost that, and other countries might be interested in that. And then it has also shown to the world that it is still on equal footing with India. So I think it was a major win for Pakistan, minus the Indus Water Treaty. And in these papers, if they're going to be asking you that moving forward, what should Pakistan's approach be and everything, so I think again, in any type of situation, dialogue is the only way forward. That is the only way forward, because warfare and everything, that causes a lot of casualties, a lot of damages to people. We don't want that. I think Pakistan should be looking to have negotiations with India at a neutral venue, like, for example, like in recently Russia and Ukraine were having an exchange in Turkey, so Pakistan and India again. Imagine a thing at a similar place like Turkey or Qatar, anything else, that would bring them to the negotiating table. So to conclude, what we've derived from this is that India is willing to go to any lengths to counter Pakistan, to tell the world that Pakistan is a terrorist state, right? To punish Pakistan, to cut off their water, attack with drones. In many ways, this was their most all-out war against Pakistan, because it included disinformation, revocation of the water treaty, drone attacks, right? It was a very much modern warfare approach, 5th, 6th generation warfare. But they did face embarrassment in the aerial battles, and the traditional security of Pakistan has established itself as a very credible equivalent to that of India. So it was again a major setback for India. And as for Pakistan, like I said, it has established its security apparatus. And what good that has done, something I forgot to mention earlier, is that people's belief in the army has been reinstated, which was maybe the people were not so patriotic about everything. But all of this has once again shifted the focus of people to Pakistan's army, their belief in the army and everything. So it has done them a huge favor. And Pakistan has established itself. So Pakistan again establishing itself has also done China a huge favor by displaying their warfare technology. And the West worried that what will happen with their arsenal, their warfare and everything, intervene at the last minute so that they could actually save themselves from further embarrassment and not let their stocks drop further. So this was a whole analysis of all this recent India-Pakistani hostilities with focus on international relations, current affairs and everything. And in the next video we will pick up another current affairs topic and start briefing on that. If you have any questions, you may leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.